Welcome to my kitchen. My name is Michael Lloyd. I'm gonna show you guys how to cook some chicken. I'm gonna show you guys how to make a little bit of garlic butter and caper white wine with a little bit of tomatoes, with some caramelized onions and charred broccoli. So let's get started. About 3 pounds of chicken breast that I'm gonna use. Beautiful chicken breast here, very large, and about 1 pound each. Set here. It's great to trim off a lot of the fat in the beginning, just so you don't have to worry about it later. You just take your knife, make sure it's sharp, and take a little bit of the edges off. And then you have the breast here, you cut right down the middle. I'm gonna cut it in half to make it a little bit thinner. And then just make little strips. And then dice about 1/2 inch size pieces. Depending on how many people are eating in your house, but if you have a family of 4 or a family of 3 or 2 or it's just you, maybe you just need 1 chicken breast. I have a larger family, so I'm gonna use all 3 chicken breasts so that everybody can eat. And again, this doesn't take probably more than 30 minutes. I just got home from work, so I start cooking almost immediately when I get home. I am a professional chef, so I cook for work and I cook at home. And it never ends, but that's okay, because I love what I do. No, that's an edit part probably. Yeah, it's okay. Recording. Same thing again. I'm gonna cut the chicken in half. Doing this real time so that you can see that it doesn't really take that long, and you can go as pretty quick. Making sure again your knife is sharp and you have all your tools in front of you before you get started. Your mise en place, everything in its place. Okay. So one thing I like to do too is use a little bit of cornstarch. And I use cornstarch just so I can lock in some of the moisture of the chicken, and also because my son and I both have celiac disease, so everything that I cook is gluten-free. Everything. So from chicken pot pie to shepherd's pie, whatever your flavor is, I can do it. And I can show you how to do it and make it as easy as possible. All right, I'm gonna go into the other breast, trim the fat. Cut it in half again, just to make it a little bit thinner so it cooks more evenly and a little quicker. There we go. A little bit more fat on that side. Not too much. You don't want to waste too much chicken. You want to get as much meat as possible. One last piece here. And basically just coating the chicken with cornstarch. I previously set up this bowl earlier just with a little bit of cornstarch. Just a little massage. Take my gloves off. I'm going to take this over here to the saute. Fire up my grill. And with the menu today, I'm doing a little bit of cherry tomatoes with the garlic and capers that I already have set there. I pre-cut the garlic ahead of time. I can show you that in another video, super easy. This was just to go like sometimes before you go to work, you can set things up. You know you're gonna come home and make dinner for your kids or your wife or your husband, and you can cut the garlic ahead of time or cut enough for the week, even if you know you're gonna use it all week, and just have it in the refrigerator. Oh, lost that one. It's okay. I'm gonna take a little onion, slide that. We're gonna julienne this onion. The onion's gonna go for the broccolini or the broccoli florets. I like to have a little caramelized onion. It adds a little bit of flavor to the onion, to the broccoli, sorry. While the pan is heating, I'm just gonna give the ends of this broccoli just a little cut. Just store-bought. Open the package, always cut off the ends. They always have a lot of dirt and or dryness to it, just from their storage process. Not every single one has it, but a lot of them do. Just cut it off real quick. And if you get that larger size, you can cut that piece and it should break into 4 pieces. Just really quick, like. Then we'll have a delicious meal here in just a few. I won't start the broccoli until the chicken's almost done. And once I get to the chicken where I've covered it and it's going, then I'll throw the broccoli in. And that's kind of your timing of what you want to look at, when to start the broccoli, so that it's not just sitting there a long time and you have this soggy broccoli because you let it sit a long time and you overcooked it. But you want it to be perfectly ready when the chicken's ready. And a good time is when you start steaming the chicken. Okay, the broccoli's done. My tomatoes are done. I'm gonna move all this over here, making a big mess. We'll clean it real quick. Put that in the sink. I have my garlic, tomatoes, broccoli, onions, and my capers. I can smell the heat from the pan. Drop it just a little bit, and I previously had roasted some garlic from garlic mashed potatoes we had the other night. So I'm going to use some of that garlic oil and just drop it in the pan. You can tell that it's hot when it starts to smoke right there on that angle. A lot of times you're in your home, unfortunately, your smoke alarm is going to go off, or it may go off, just because your ventilation system's not that great. Get my glove on so I can grab onto some of this chicken, get it in the pan. You can hear that sizzle. And I'm only going to fill up a little bit of the pan, not all the way. You don't want to overcrowd it. And then you cause the chicken to cook improperly. Add a little bit more oil. I'm going to do it in stages like this. Grab my tongs. Give the chicken a little toss. So it's coated. Now everything's coated with that oil. I'm going to add a little bit of salt, pepper. I like to put some onion powder and garlic powder, just very light of those seasonings inside of most of my dishes, just to enhance the flavor of what you're already going to add in the dish. Again, I'm going to let this go for maybe 3 or 4 minutes. Let that brown on the outside, and then move it, and then brown the other chicken. I'm going to continue to do so until all the chicken's finished cooking, and I'm going to put it all together with some garlic, some butter, and some wine, and then let that steam, and we'll be back.
All right, here you can see me browning the chicken. It just has the corn starch on it, the salt and pepper. You see me add earlier with the garlic powder and the onion powder, and very light seasoning, and I'm not going to cook it all the way through. What I'm going to do is just give a little coating to the outside, just basically locking in the flavors, and then once that's complete, I'm going to move that over to another pan and continue to cook the chicken to finish it, and then I'll show you the final product. Okay, I'm basically taking the chicken now, that first batch, and I'm going to add it to the top of the pan over here. Put the pan back on the fire, add a little bit more garlic oil. Take my tongs, take some of the chicken out. Because the pan's already hot, you don't have to wait too long. Remember not to overcrowd the pan because you don't want too much chicken, and that each chicken needs its space in order to cook properly. And remember, each set is gonna get a little bit of onion and garlic powder, salt and pepper every single time you add a new batch of chicken in. Give it a toss till everything's coated. When you can see that it's kind of dry, you're just gonna add a little bit more oil. Keep the heat on, make sure it's going, and you're good. On the other side now, you can see that other pan. It's gonna be on like a medium heat. That medium heat is gonna start with a little bit of butter. And that's enough butter for the whole dish. I say little, but each time I'm gonna be adding chicken to it. That is for the whole dish. I'm gonna add my garlic. And again, if you have the surface space or a larger saute pan, by all means, cook all the chicken in one pan. And if it has enough space, or you have a flat top, or however you're doing it, this is just another way to do it when you don't have that much space. You have smaller saute pans. You know if you go too far with all your smoke alarm is gonna go off in your apartment or your house or anything like that. You just wanna just keep it as efficient as possible. All right. This is the last of the chicken. I'm gonna put a little bit of salt, some pepper. I'm gonna add my garlic powder and onion powder. Very light seasoning because it's all gonna come together in the end. If you look at the other side, I've already dumped that other piece in there, that other side. This is my third batch. So basically my saute pan will fit 1 pound of chicken and it's diced up. So we totally have 3 pounds of chicken all cooked once we're finished. I didn't add any butter to this. I just added the garlic and butter that you saw the last time, and I'm letting this brown just for a minute. What I'm gonna do right now is add a little bit of wine. It's gonna go in here. Generally, I would let this flame if I was in my restaurant, but we're not, so let's just keep it at a low and let that simmer with the white wine. All right, finishing up with the chicken, adding the last batch to that pan, putting that in the sink. I'm gonna add my capers with some of the juices, obviously. You want that salty brine feeling of the capers. It tastes so good. Now I'm gonna put a lid on this. The lid, once I get the lid on, and that's just simmering like that, I'm gonna take my wok. I'm gonna add a little bit more of that garlic oil. Let this heat up, and I'm gonna get my onions in and my broccoli, and then we'll finish up with the tomatoes and the chicken. The pan is hot enough, and I'm gonna add my onions to the pan. You hear the sizzle, that knows the pan's hot enough. Salt. Pepper, salt and pepper everything. Don't use the same tongs you use for the raw chicken for your onions. I'm gonna move this to the side. You can back up a little bit. Let the sauces. We're gonna let this caramelize a little bit. Break those onions up. Let's check on the chicken real quick. That's looking pretty nice. We're almost done. We got the wine, the juices from the chicken, the butter, the capers, and the garlic roasted on the bottom. Beautiful. Everything here looks good. You see everything is seasoned perfectly. It's got pepper, salt, onion powder, garlic powder. Your family's gonna love this meal. The kids are gonna go crazy for it. And it's gluten free. Lay back on the chicken. Continuing cooking the onions. Okay, after caramelizing the onions, they got a nice color on it, the color that I want when I'm cooking. That's what I want it to look like. I'm gonna grab my broccoli and add that in. I'm gonna give this some more salt, very light salt, because I've already salted the onions really well, and you don't want to over season the broccoli, because that's what can happen really quick if you don't pay attention to how much salt you put in there, especially when you're salting everything in every item in every section. You gotta be careful how much salt you put. So we're gonna let this steam just for a little bit. It's gonna char and get a little brown on that side, and let that go with the onion flavor, a little bit more pepper. Now we're gonna go back over here, take a look at the chicken. Chicken is looking just about done. When this is just about done, I'm gonna grab my fresh tomatoes that I cut earlier. I'm gonna sprinkle all those guys in. Get those tomatoes in. If you put them in too early, the tomatoes are just gonna turn into nothing because of all that heat and everything else. So right now, if I put them in right at the end when I only need about a minute more, you're still gonna need a lot of that tomato flavor and that pop when you bite into it with the chicken. Flame back on, and let that rock. When this is done, this will be done. Everything is finished. The broccoli and onions are sauteing. I'm just gonna go over there and grab them. You're gonna watch me play them here, and watch how simple this is. Turn the fire on. I'm gonna put my broccoli and charred onions and just put them on the plate, nice and hot, very dark, beautiful flavor. Everything's been caramelized together and everything just tastes amazing. My kids love it when you do this type of thing. Alright, I got my chicken. Chicken is perfectly cooked. Now, if you're not sure how long to cook the chicken for, or how long I cook the chicken for, very simple to go get an instant read. You can get one at Walmart or Amazon. They're pretty cheap, maybe like 10 to 15 bucks. One of these guys right here. It'll tell you, and if you poke the fattest chicken, or whatever it is you're cooking at that point, this will be chicken. You poke the fattest piece, and you check for a temperature of 165. If the fattest piece is at 165, all the other chicken is done. Which I did that already. So what I'm gonna do now is just take our tomato caper, garlic butter, white wine, chicken, gluten-free, and add it to my plate. Scoop off some of that goodness, all those beautiful flavors. Right there. And you have a meal. With about 30 minutes, maybe 35 minutes, depending on how long it takes you to cut the chicken or heat up the stove and get your pans hot. Ahead of time, you can always have some rice. I always have rice available. If you look over here, camera's gonna follow me. Rice pot going, always got rice available. So you have a little bit of rice, jasmine rice, your garlic butter, white wine chicken, or if you wanna cook some pasta, you can do some gluten-free pasta, but I'll do that on another episode. My name is Chef Michael. Hopefully you enjoy. Aloha.